Hi, welcome to this latest edition of Lightboard Lessons. Today we're going to talk about iWorkflow to wrap up Programmability Month. And iWorkflow is an orchestration element for application service deployments. And so, if you look back to what we talked about with iApps, well, iApps is an application template that you run on a local big IP. Well, now we're just going to step out a layer and look at a holistic system, whereas you have an application deployed on a single big IP. iWorkflow allows you to deploy application services across multiple big IPs, virtual, physical, whatnot. And so the iWorkflow is a virtual appliance or whatnot, so that you can build these orchestrated deployments. And so from just a strict architecture standpoint within the iWorkflow itself, you have this section of administrative duty. So this is admin, administrator. So you have an admin and a tenant relationship. And so the administrative side is where you define where all of these application templates live. And so, where you have an application service like DDoS or DNS or load balancing or access, all of those configuration elements are defined here in your templates so that your users can be more concerned about putting their specific touch points into those templates rather than worrying about configuration themselves. And so all of this, application template definitions are configurable by admins, and then you, as an admin, get to decide in these tenants, each of these tenants, you get to determine, so this is 1, 2, 3, 4. As an admin, you get to determine, which of these application templates are available to each of these tenants. And so a collection of those application tenants, we'll call abbreviated, but a service catalog. So, you'll have a catalog of services depending on which tenant you're in. And then below the application templates, you have connectors. And so you have this other layer down here where, this is let's say your connectors. And so you might have a connector for Cisco APIC, and you might have a connector for VMware's NSX, and then of course you might have a connector for straight big IP, and then also SDK access for other systems. And so from iWorkflow, you can generate you can orchestrate all of this from iWorkflow for all of these different services. So that's kind of cool. And so how a workflow works, and this is essentially the architecture. Obviously, there's a lot more to that, and we're going to have articles. We already have an article series going this week, and Nathan Pierce will continue to generate instructional articles on how to implement all this and code samples for all the different various things like device discovery and instantiating a big IP. So all of that is coming, but essentially this is how the architecture works. But from a workflow perspective, you have, say you have your service catalog, and we'll wrap this service catalog for a particular tenant. And say within this, you have your, your DDoS. And say you have your access, and then we'll also throw in DNS and let's say just straight load balancing stuff. So you have this service catalog of stuff, and so you can either access that as a direct admin through the GUI or through a third-party orchestration agent. And so either way, whether you're going to have your admins doing this process manually or orchestrating it some other way, both of those options are available. So once you have your service catalog, everybody picks their services. All of that, of course, is writing on this iWorkflow system. And so once the services are defined or the services are selected, your options for those services are selected, that deployment, then of course, all of those exist in iApps. So you'll have an iApp for each of these different services. Maybe some of those services reside in the same iApp. Maybe some of them are separate. All of that is definable by you, the administrator. And so once everything is selected, then these iApps will be configured, and then via the iControl REST, then that actually goes out to your ADCs, whether that is across a connector. We talk about these connectors over here. So whether that lives in Cisco APEC or VM NSX or Big IP or elsewhere, that allows you to orchestrate that, and all of that is pushed via the iControl REST API to your infrastructure. So, this is an incredibly powerful tool for you to add to your toolbox to control your Big IP infrastructure, to deploy your applications. And so hopefully this is a good overview. We'll get into the nitty-gritty details in our article series this week and continuing after Programmability Month. So thank you very much for your time.